This is the plaintiff, Francesca. She says she rented her $2 million New Jersey Shore beach house to the defendant for 1 week, and she practically destroyed the place. She's outraged the defendant treated her house with such disregard and is suing her for the $757.30 she's owed for damages. This is the defendant, Leslie. She says she didn't break a thing in the house. If she did, she would own up to it and can afford it, thank you very much. The plaintiff is lying. This is very bothersome to her, and she's not giving her a dime because she treated the house like it was her own. She's accused of trashing the place.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff rented her $2 million beach house to the defendant and says the defendant damaged it. The defendant saying baloney, she didn't damage anything. It's the case of your place ain't beachy.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, Ms. Francesca, you are suing Ms. Leslie, who rented your house because according to you, she did some damage and you want to be able to lay claim to the security deposit, which right now, I guess, is in the hands of the real estate broker, correct? An escrow? Okay, so
Correct.
You've come to me so that I can decide where to tell that money to go. Got it. So talk to me, Ms. Francesca, what happened?
We rented our beach house to the defendant through a rental agency. We provided the rental agency all the information that the tenant would need, including a tenant letter that was very specific with instructions on what to do during their stay. After 36 hours, the defendant reported a broken blind. We checked with the cleaning service that does a very specific COVID cleaning, and they said that they would have noticed if the blind was damaged prior to the defendant checking in.
Hold on one second. Can I see where the cleaning service said we would have noticed if the blind was damaged prior to her checking in?
That's not written in any text or email.
Oh, so you don't have any proof of that? You didn't get a statement from the cleaning people saying what you just said, did you?
I have a text message from the cleaning service.
And what does that text message say?
It says that they didn't notice that the blind was
right.
broken.
That's not the same from, that is not anywhere near what you said, which was we would have noticed if it had been broken. So and that's important because that's what all this stuff falls on. You're saying there's damage. She's saying I didn't do it. And you got to prove she did do it. Now, let me talk to you, Ms. Leslie. This is a rental of a home it's actually a beautiful home too. So this is a $2 million home that is on the ocean, correct, Ms. Francesca?
Correct.
And how many bedrooms?
It's 4 bedrooms.
And it rents out for how much? In this particular case, how much was the weekly lease?
They change per week. I don't recall right.
I'm sure Ms. Leslie remembers because it came out of her pocket. How much was it? How much was it, Ms. Leslie?
It was $9,000.
$9,000 for the 7 days, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Now, according to you, Ms. Francesca, there were rules and regulations that were given to the defendant that say that she has to tell you about any damage within the first 24 hours.
We require 24 hours. The rental agencies says that they need to be notified immediately.
Okay. So how would Ms. Leslie have received, because I know that's not in the lease, right? Nowhere does it say in the lease that you have to report any damage within 24 hours.
In the lease it says immediately. The lease that they get from the rental agency says that they have to report it immediately.
Right, but it doesn't say you have to do a thorough canvassing of the house and report anything or else you're assuming a responsibility for it. In other words, if they saw a broken blind, they can't sit on it for 2 weeks. They saw a broken blind, they immediately texted the realtor and told them about it as soon as they found it because a broken blind was behind a sofa, Ms. Leslie?
Yes, it was.
Did you take a picture of the broken blind?
Yes, I did.
All right. And did you send that immediately to the broker?
Yes, I did.
Is this an accurate picture of it?
It is. To the lower right is the sofa.
So I don't know if it's covered by the sofa, but it is, just behind the
You can clearly
sofa.
see the sofa.
Yeah,
and
it
the
looks like the
blind.
sofa's underneath it, but yeah, the issue is who broke it, and what do you do with the fact that they notified the realtor, but according to you, it was at the 36-hour mark, right?
Correct.
When would Ms. Leslie have received those rules where you as the owner say, here are the rules and here's what you got to do. This is when garbage gets picked up. This is when this and, all the rules. When would she receive that?
We tell the agent to make it a priority to get them the information 1 week prior to check-in so that the information is fresh in their mind and that they're reading it and they're not forgetting anything.
Right.
We also...
Do you have the agent to call as a witness here on your behalf?
No.
Okay. Now, Ms. Leslie, when did you receive the instructions?
It was within a week and a half before. I kept getting almost every day papers.
Different
the
papers?
Realtor, different papers with different times, different dates, different orders.
Do you have all of them? Do they conflict? I don't know what you're saying. I'm not understanding what you're saying.
Some things conflicted. The things that conflicted were the times that I could go into the house or the times that I was supposed to leave the house. Each paper had a different time.
Okay.
But,
so what were the different times the papers had?
The time on the paper that I had to sign on the lease was I could come in no earlier than 2 p.m. on the 20th of June, and I could leave no later than 11 a.m. on the 27th of June.
Come in no earlier than 2 p.m. and end date 6/27, no later than 11 a.m. But then you send Ms. Francesca some documents to her that say you got to be out by 9:30, but that completely conflicts with what she paid for. So and you're actually suing, which is kind of nervy, seeing that you've read the lease and you know it says 11. You're suing for a $125 late fee because you told your cleaning company to be there at 9:30 and they had to wait for her to leave.
And as you can see from the text messages that I sent, we made every attempt to get her the information that was incorrect.
Well, no, but you don't get that chance, though. You don't get that chance. See, you made the realtor your agent because they're your agent. It's much easier to work and not have people contact you directly. So there's a cost that comes with that. If you're unhappy with them, never hire them again. Okay? But that's fine. But you can't make them your agent, give them your apparent authority, allow them to contract with her for 11, and then say to her, get out an hour and a half earlier because here, my instructions say so. No. Let's talk about the real issue here, which is the blind and the chair. So, Ms. Leslie, how many people did you have there that week?
I had 12 people.
12 people. And there's no problem with that because you actually advertise that the house sleeps 12 people, right, Ms. Francesca? Right. Okay.
Correct.
So go on, Ms. Leslie.
Can I just explain something?
Yeah.
I had 12 people. It was my family. And 2 days after we arrived, my daughter and granddaughter showed up as a surprise for me. And so they stayed a few days. I couldn't throw them out. And so
sleep under the stars. All right, but I have a question for you. I know what happened with the blind. We've gone over it. You saw it, and you saw it after the 24 hours. Let's look at the picture of the chair because there's a spindle missing on the chair. And my question to you is...
I've never seen a picture of the chair.
All right, I'm going to show it to you now. Okay, so there's a spindle missing completely, not broken, but just completely missing. In the chair.
I think I would have noticed that.
Okay. So did you take any pictures when you left or no?
No.
That's always a really good idea to take pictures when you come in.
That is, and I would do that from now on.
Right. I know. You live and you learn. But you take very incredibly painfully slow video through the house when you come in and incredibly painfully slow video through the house when you leave. If you go like this, it's not going to be probative of anything. But that's advice I give to every tenant, whether it's a 1-week tenancy or a 1-year tenancy. All right. When did this get noticed, Ms. Francesca? This is noticed, I think, by the cleaning people, right?
Correct.
And what day do they notice that?
The day they checked out.
This security deposit was a deposit in the amount of what? $1,500?
$1,500.
Okay. You had agreed to one of the violations because you ended up getting fined by the town because you left too much garbage out when you left. The cans were not closed, so there was a fine. What was the fine?
I don't know. I don't remember the exact fine, but I gave permission to the realty company to release the money for that.
Right.
Because I felt
Ms.
that was my
Francesca,
fault.
Right, and it was. Ms. Francesca, how much was that?
$300. And she did agree to it because they paid for it.
Okay, so just let me ask you, and let's sidestep. Ms. Leslie, you don't dispute that you allowed 300 of the 1,500 to go her way already to handle the garbage issue, correct?
I do not dispute that. I allowed that. Yes.
I'd like to see. Give me a moment because what I'd like to look at now are the texts from the cleaning people. Your departure date was what date? The 27th, Ms. Leslie?
Yes. Yes.
Do you always use the same people?
Yes.
Did anyone in your group break that chair, Ms. Leslie?
No, they did not, and they didn't know anything about it. And when the only thing I knew was I was told a spindle was broken on the chair. And I did not have any small children or raucous people in the house. It wasn't a party house. It was my family.
Right.
Otherwise,
it's pretty.
it was
Can I
not
just ask you a question because I'm
Sure.
looking at the chair and it's pretty. To me, it's pretty obvious. So.
It is very obvious.
Right. So, what do you think happened though? Because this text is sent. Because let me just explain something. She has the same cleaning
Yes.
people all the time. The text is sent immediately when the cleaning people come in. Immediately after you guys leave. She sees this,
Right.
and the first thing she does is send her a text telling her, hey, look, so if not your group, then who? Because if it's the same cleaning people, I would assume, and this is so obvious to all three of us, as it is to the cleaning people, that the week before when they cleaned, if they had seen this, they would have sent it. So perhaps... I know that it didn't happen in front of you, but there are 12 to 14 people there while you're not there. How do I know somebody in your group didn't accidentally break it and then, I don't know. I don't know. But if it wasn't noticed by those cleaning people beforehand, and I know that they didn't say, oh, I would have noticed that. She's trying to make the case better than it is by saying, oh, they told me that they would have noticed that. That is not what they said. What they said, let's quote them directly. Where's the actual text from the cleaning people saying, I did not notice it that way before?
That's referring to the blind, and then they show a picture of the chair.
There's no words back and forth between you guys on the chair?
We did have a conversation because at that point...
So there's no text in between you guys regarding the chair?
No, when she sent me that picture, I was so mortified, I called her immediately.
Did they give you an affidavit for today? Did you seek an affidavit from them, or are they available to speak to me?
I'm sure that you could call. I can give you their number. I mean, they're a cleaning service. They pretty much work.
Is it always the same?
Day.
Is it always the same person who goes?
The owner of the cleaning service, because we are the first house that they clean on what is considered a changeover, comes to every single cleaning at our house. And she reports to me every single cleaning with every
Try to
tenant
get her on the
as soon as
phone.
she
Try
walks
to
in
get
the
her on the
house.
phone, and if you get her, put her on speaker. I want to ask her some questions. Ms. Leslie, let me ask you a question. Was there something your family was celebrating, or was this just a family vacation and reunion?
It's for the last 50 years, I have been renting a house in Long Beach Island with my family for a week for the last 50 years, since my children were small children, and now we come with the grandchildren. And it's something we love doing, and we've always done it, and I have never had a problem before.
I have Natty on the line.
Good.
Hey, Natty, are you there?
Yes,
This is Judge Marilyn Milian from the People's Court. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Okay.
How can I help you?
Natty, can you run a cleaning service that apparently Miss Francesca was hiring to take care of that house in...
Grant Beach, New Jersey.
Correct, Natty?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, and so what I wanted to ask you is, do you remember I'm sure you clean a lot of houses and you clean, we're talking about stuff that happened almost a year ago, but it was in the summer of last year, and it's a blue chair that is in the dining room that a spindle was missing?
Yes, I do remember that.
I thought you might. Now, did you clean the place the week before?
Yes, I did.
Do you recall whether or not the spindle was missing the week before?
No. I mean, I do recall that it was not.
Okay. And you seem to have a specific recollection that it didn't look that way before. Why? Because you would have noticed something like that and you would have reported it.
Because every time I go into Ms. Francesca's home, I walk the entire house and check everything. I document and I take pictures of anything that has been broken, misplaced, dirtied, soiled.
Okay. Thank you, Natty. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Ms. Leslie, go ahead.
Yes, and that morning when we were leaving, we vacuumed every room that had carpeting, we swept every floor, we cleaned the counters, and we moved, obviously, the dining room chairs. That is where we ate all the time. And none of us noticed a broken chair.
All right. Yeah, Miss Leslie, I hear what you're saying. The thing is, you didn't rent the place alone, okay? There were other people there. And I got to tell you, I do find Natty's testimony compelling. And I had a sense of what kind of operation Natty was running from the myriad of texts that came before. I did see, like the first thing she does is walk around and start taking pictures, which she would have done the week before. So I think that the question is close enough on that one where, I don't believe it was handed to you that way. Regarding the blind, I don't know. I do know that as soon as you saw it, you turned around and you reported it. The blinds, I think you're kind of more covered because it really was almost 24 hours after moving in. I do not find that you had a requirement to complain about anything within 24 hours. Your only requirements are what's in the lease you signed. When you receive instructions, those are one-sided sua sponte suggestions, not requirements. And your email came to them the day after you moved in. So I think that's soon enough to say, hey, wasn't me. But regarding the chair, I think it's closer, and I think I'm leaning in favor of the plaintiff for that. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to order another $216 to go her way, and I'm going to order the release of everything else that you were entitled to get back. That's how my order's going to read for the escrow agent to release the funds. I wish you all good luck, and hopefully neither of you have to go through anything like this ever again. Good luck, folks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So the plaintiff is going to get $216 back from the escrow company. Ms. Leslie, how do you feel about that? You seem like you're really a very fastidious person yourself and very careful, and you seem okay with that. Am I right?
Yeah, I did not see it. I was the last one to leave the house, and I didn't see it. But I'm satisfied with what the judge said.
Okay, all right. Ms. Francesca, let me ask you, are you okay?
Yeah, it's fine. I'm okay with replacing the chair. We've replaced the chair. We've replaced the blinds. We've definitely learned a lot. We've also amended our contract so that the information that we provide the tenants is now something that is a part of the contract that they sign for.
Good enough. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
So, Doug, it's an interesting case. Remember, the defendant notified the plaintiff a couple of days in that the blinds were damaged. This is the stuff that should be done beforehand. When you rent a place, when you move into a place, you take pictures of any damage, if you're the tenant, so that you can prove it was this way going in. If you're the landlord, you take pictures of everything to show there is no damage. That's the way you prove a case. That's the way you win a lawsuit. And photographs are king. You take photos before, you take photos after, and you compare the two. We have seen hundreds of these cases in the People's Court, hundreds, and the person with the best pictures is usually the winner.
So, Marilyn, what are you afraid of?
What am I afraid of? I assume we're not talking about things like ill health and major stuff. You're talking about
Zombie apocalypse.
Zombie apocalypse isn't high on my.
No.
So I think the thing that as you know, any flying bug freaks me out. Well, not anyone. I mean, mosquitoes and flies don't, but any big bug that flies, like anything that looks like a roach and flies.
Right.
There's a lot of critters in North Carolina in the house that's in the woods, and and that freaks everybody out.
And in Florida.
Mice. I don't like mice either.
Right. Well,
Apparently,
God.
I don't like spiders either because I whacked one with my.
Well, thank God you're afraid of
startled
these
me.
kinds of things, because that keeps me in a job.
That's right.
That keeps me needed and around.
Yeah, that's why I married you.
Because let's face it, critter relocation and disposal, that's one of my specialties.
That's right. It used to be kitty litter, and we don't have a cat. And it used to be the baby diaper genie.
Right.
And that's gone. So you better find a utility. So